First off, because we are at OpTic, I feel like we're obligated to talk about the Scump retirement, Dashy in, Hook in.
Yep, that's it. Dashy in, Hook in. Gotta make sure that's very clear. If you have not paid attention to what's going on in the last week to 4 weeks, you may have heard that a few of those different people were out and some other people were in at one point. And so, yeah, really interesting.
Yeah, it's insane. So basically what happened was Scump announced his, well, I guess I should go farther back than that. Scump retires, or not Scump retires, god damn it. So basically what happened is the OpTic Texas roster was not performing like it should have.
Yep.
Right? I think a lot of people were expecting our performance to be a bit better, often Major 1 and kind of throughout the qualifiers Major 2.
Yep.
And so the team was like, we need to make a change. And I guess that change involved Dashy. And for several reasons, and it wasn't performance-based. And so that happened. And as soon as that happened, we were scrambling to find a fourth. At first, we were trying to find Pred from Seattle.
Pred, yep.
Seattle kept us on the line, just kind of doing whatever.
Yep. Surge. Luminosity Gaming.
Yep, that whole camp. And then we had the debacle with RCDs where we were going to pursue him and we couldn't get him because of his obligations with LAG and how he just signed a new deal. That would have been expensive. And in my opinion, I don't think it would have been worth it.
Yep.
And then all that happens. And so Scump's looking at this and he's like, man, we just let go of a really talented player, because that's the truth, is that Dashy is like probably a top 5, top 10 player in the CDL right now.
For sure.
I mean, like when you drop a player like that in talent like that, it's like, oh man, that's a tough blow to have, you know? And so what happened was Scump was like, man, I don't really have anything left in the tank. Like I can't commit fully to this team the same way that they commit fully to OpTic Texas and being able to win championships. And so with that being known, retirement happened last week. And so Dashy is back in. We picked up Hook. Zio's back. I still don't know what that means. What does Zio mean? Do you know?
I think it means ice in Icelandic, if I'm not mistaken.
Why Icelandic?
Because they went and played an event there together at one point at the start of their starting of that trio in that 2020 Call of Duty team, Dallas Empire. So I think that they had some discussion about like the Icelandic culture, and Illy in particular liked the name Zio, and so they just kind of rolled with it. It's been their thing. Really interesting to look back on. And one thing actually that's very interesting, all the guys we were just talking about, whether it's a Dashy or a Pred or an Alec, all arguably like top 10, top 15 players as far as talent wise and experience level, everything like that. I'd actually heard from one of the executives or a family member of an executive at one of the fellow teams, or one of the teams that we're talking about, one of those individuals, and they were saying that it's probably a good thing that we ended up bringing Dashy back in, because life is always going on. You know, the one thing that I'd say about coaches in this space, GMs in this space, is you're managing people. That's what you're good at. You're not repairing injuries necessarily. It's all about like managing that person to get the best day out of them or peak performance out of them over the course of a week or a month or however long that season kind of is. But yeah, just an amazing career from Scump. I got a couple stats here that kind of just give you an idea of just how really good Scump is. 95 events in 13 years that he's played, 30 wins.
30 major wins?
So just it has it down here as 30 wins. So I'm assuming it's tournament wins or at minimum, those older tournaments from like the BO4 days and back. And then obviously like the newer wins count towards, and those are a little bit more distinct with those tournaments.
Right.
2017 world champion, 2-time X-Blades gold medalist, because there was those years there, which I think was like IW in advance maybe, that it switches to X Games, I think.
I believe so, yeah.
Something like that. This one's a big one. A 1KD in 47 straight tournaments. Never had a less than 1 KD average on a season, ever. 10 10 CODs with a major. So I think it's almost every COD, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's going to a major in every single
one.
Yeah.
World Series of Warzone solo YOLO champ, by the way.
That's insane.
For $100K, real quick.
That's insane.
First tournament win for Scumpy was April 3rd, 2011. So like most social medias weren't even out yet. Like you had a good old YouTube and Facebook, and that's about it.
It's
for
hard.
Things you could be showing people.
It's hard to put in perspective like how great this Scump is as a player. It's mind blowing how long he's been playing this game and like how accomplished he is. Like he has nothing. And for honestly, for reference, I completely side with him with retiring midseason. I know a lot of people probably didn't like that option. But for me, it's like, this guy has nothing left to prove. He has done it all. He is a world champion. He has won several majors. He has one of the best KDs in Call of Duty history. I mean, what more can he do to prove that he is one of the greatest, if not the greatest Call of Duty player of all time? There is just simply nothing else out there for him. He did it in Warzone. He did it in regular Call of Duty. Yep. And he's probably going to continue to do, in some shape or form, compete in the challengers. I know there's kind of rumors that he was like, well, maybe, who knows if I'm going to do it or not. Depends on how I'm feeling. But I mean, there's nothing left for him to accomplish. He has done everything that he needs to do to prove himself as the best player of all time. So
yeah.
I think that's just.
I think the most interesting nuances is that people don't realize that for Dashy and for Hook, so Hook plays the submachine gun role with Shotzi on our team. And everybody knows that Dashy or Brandon is one of the best ARs in the game. Tends to be a little bit slower of a position, a lot more time, maybe ADS or just like looking further down
holding
the
angles,
sights,
really,
holding angles, etc. Scump was gonna have to play like a flex SMG role, and so sometime using his SMG, sometime using his AR, which would be the equivalent in basketball as if like you heard like Michael Jordan, who's a shooting guard, decided to go play like power forward for some games.
Right.
It's just a really weird. So I just wanted to like emphasize like how really unique it is for a player like him who's switching positions, and still nobody really had any concerns about the position switch. He also had a 1-2-2 that last tournament when he was playing a flex.
Yeah,
which is significantly. It's a significant average because I think, top 10 is generally like a 1.2, 5 or above. Or, I mean, top 5 is usually that. So, was basically still slaying like a top 10 player.
Yeah, it's incredible. So, it just, again, great player, great dude, so humble. Yeah, and I'm glad that he's still with OpTic today. And he's always just like a really, like, he's just got a calm demeanor. Like he really understands what it takes to play at the highest level. So, what was your favorite game watching him play?
If I'm honest, I have a little bias because I definitely think that if you get to go see, a player like Scump or a team like OpTic in person, it makes a big difference. So, like in my mind, it's just always going to be that like his last tournament win was last year at Major 1.
Yeah, for Vanguard,
for Vanguard. So I'm always going to remember that and remember like how happy everybody was. That was like my first week working here. Like just everything kind of culminates for me around that moment. But gotta love Scump and jetpacks. Right?
Yeah,
I mean the movement was just unbelievable. However many years ago that was. What's that, like 8 years ago, 9 years ago, something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Are you referencing Advanced Warfare? Yeah. Advanced Warfare was definitely my favorite from like kind of the jetpack era. But if we weren't doing jetpacks, honestly, I'm saying Cold War. I loved that game. I loved watching that game. That was, I think that was such an underrated game, man. The Cold War got too much hate. Honestly, they picked up the scraps of Sledgehammer and then made something that was actually pretty decent in such a rush time. I love that game. I would still play it if it had a good player base, but it seems like everyone's kind of moved on to MW2. Yeah. So it is what it is. But anyways, Cold War for me, Advanced Warfare for doing jetpacks. But yeah, that was an era. Now we're in the new generation. We're in the new generation of players.
Zeo era. The Zeo era. 11, the Zeo era. So 11 events from these guys, 6 final appearances. 4 championships. They are the 2020 world champions minus Scump. Well, now plus Dashi. So that champion squad had Crim 6 on it. Now they've got Dashi instead, who arguably is a better player, slightly different player, but a better player. So it'd be very interesting to see. Note here, their worst placing was 3rd or 4th place with that Zeo team there. So
wild.
Now with Dashi, and Scump said it yesterday, there's a clip rolling around that he thinks the team's better off without him after looking at the way that they handled the Toronto Ultra just last week in the last qualifying match. So it should be really interesting to see for the rest of this season how that looks. Obviously, Scump's numbers from the watch party has been phenomenal and noteworthy. I think everybody across esports has taken note of him. Basically, you could think of it like one of 2 ways. He's either splitting off of the Call of Duty channel, right? And half of people are watching Scump and half the people are watching Call of Duty. Or he's 100% matching the Call of Duty channel with his own viewership. So over, I think, 92,000 peak is what they said that they had, at least on Friday, if I'm not mistaken.
When the team debuted, I believe.
Yeah.
So
really something.
Really awesome stuff.